Hey everybody, it looks like we are live. We have sound, we have picture. Believe it or not, it's November 5th and I have the air conditioner on. How crazy is that? So I wanted to start a little bit later so that I can get things done during the day. It is great to see you, Mr. John Payne from upstate New York. How are you? Mr. Steve Lang, all the way from the UK. How are you, mate? Good to see you guys. Great to see you guys. So today I was looking at this painting over the week and realized that this is a great opportunity to really show how to get into those eyes. Mr. Mike DeLoach, all the way from the Atlanta, Georgia area. How are you, sir? Always a pleasure. Oh, so glad you're doing well, Steve. That is always great to hear. And so, love that. Mr. Brad, how are you today? Always a pleasure, my friend. So glad you can make it. And so we have a small but great group today. And that's what matters, you know, not the quantity, but the quality. It's definitely more important than quantity, always, always. Savi, always a pleasure. Colette. Savi from Arizona, Colette from Wisconsin. Great to see you guys. So glad you guys are here. So we are going to be working on her beautiful eyes. So I always love working on eyes, whether it's in pastel or pencil or airbrush. It's always my favorite part. Since I was a kid, I always focused on eyes. People always say to me when I was a youngster, you could paint eyes like no one that they know, or draw eyes, but they didn't know anybody who drawn, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I always loved it, you know. Oh, listen to this. Mike is strangely well rested. Got 7 hours of sleep. God bless you. That is wonderful. Oh, that's great news. That is really good news. And oh, yeah, so look at that. People are talking about your website, Mr. Brad. That is so cool. Love to see that. That's amazing. So, when I was looking at her eye, basically it kind of looks like her pupil's kind of floating. And we don't want a floating pupil, right? So we're going to be working pretty in depth in her. And I'm going to show you how I make my triangles. So here I would get, this is a piece of 1/16 inch foam core. And what I would do is I would cut it into squares or strips. Like so. Right, like this. And then I would cut it at approximately a 45-degree angle. And then keep doing that. And this would give me, and this is approximately the size you want your triangles to be. Not much bigger, not much smaller. Right around that size. See here, it's a little bit larger. I'll just cut it. You just want to make right triangles. Isosceles right triangles, pretty much. Those of you who are big fans of Pythagoras, and we're just going to Pythagoras rules. Okay, now this is the foam core, and you see I do the same thing. You never want to be painting and not have triangles. That would be tragic. Well, I wouldn't say tragic, but it wouldn't be good. So, alright, working on her eyes. So, let's go ahead and, so how is the sound, everybody? Sound is good? Hey, Mr. Leahy, how you doing? Where is Steve Leahy? Oh, there you are, sir. How's everything going, my friend? Good to see you. And let's see. I did love your last video when you talked about Autoborn Sealer in your last live stream. I didn't catch it live, but that was really very good. Oh, thank you, Zavi, and for the good sound check. So, and thank you, Steve, for that. So, definitely check out Steve Leahy's last YouTube live stream. I say probably about 60% in, he starts discussing auto porn sealer and how he can pretty much put that on anything, and how he sands it with the Scotch-Brite. So definitely check that out. That's really important. Great bit of knowledge right there he shared with everybody so graciously. All right, so we're going to zoom in on her eyeball. Let's make this happen. Let's see. Let's get ready to rumble. Okay, there's her eye, beautiful eye. And let's get down to business. This is the eye on camera left, camera right. Cool, Autoborn Sealer. It looks like a great product. I haven't used it, but I am going to. That's for sure. Alright, first thing I want to do, looking at this, I want to darken this part of her iris, right? It has like this really rich, dark red color. So I already have it on my palette. Now look at this here. You can see that it's not a good point. So you have to fix that, and you just fix it with your scissors so you get a nice point. We're doing detail, so we're going to need that point, right? And I'm going to look at that color. And let's make this happen. Now, we are using foam core. At this stage, we may have to use the little foamies because even though we're scumbling, we might not be able to put in as much of the pigment this way. But we'll try it first. What do we got to lose? Nada, you know? So definitely we're gonna have to use the foam. So rather than use a new one, I'm just gonna recondition it by cutting it brand new. Okay, so yeah, even though these things are inexpensive, you do want to conserve the best you can. And I got overzealous. It's all good in the hood. You know, I used to live in the hood. Alright, so now I have to fix that little bit right there. So I'm going to come in with a nice orangey color. And again, we'll just reposition and recondition this guy. And let's see how this... Okay, so we want to get that sort of translucent quality of her eye here. Now also, there is this slight dark that's coming here, but that dark, it's really subtle, right? And it's kind of soft-edged. So I'm going to see if I can handle it with this. If not, you know, there's always, you know, the pastel pencils, you can use them, but you don't want to use them as a crutch, right? So what I can do is just add some black and that's always best. Mr. Willie, how are you? Great to see you, sir. Willie's in the house. That is so cool. All right. And so you see I'm adding this dark. It's not black. It's black with like a caput mortem. And it's potent, baby. So we gotta be careful. I'm doing this without glasses. Now the pupil, the actual pupil is a little far over to the left, but we're gonna fix that. There we go. So now we're going to go back to that really rich brown, sort of yellow ochre and deep red oxide. You know, working in color, you really could fall in love with it. I love color. Look at that. Oh, so nice. So beautiful to play with. But I do see that maybe, just maybe, I might have come over a little too far. So I'm going to take this gray on this side, right? The gray here is really funny because it's a purple. Yes, it's a purple. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the gray, right? You find the gray first, and then you can add that purple, and it's just amazing. Now, the purple I'm seeing is like this purple right here, you know? I call it Prince purple, right? And let's see, anyone saying stuff? Nope, so glad Willie's in the house. That is fantastic. And so, okay, so we got the Prince purple. Or the color, formerly known as Prince. Come on, you guys know that's funny. I know you're laughing on the inside. Just going back and forth, back and forth. I gotta be careful. I can get my channels censored, so I gotta be careful of what I'm saying. Okay, so there we go. So you see how that purple? You wouldn't think purple, but it's purple. Trust me. Over here, we're gonna work on the eye. First, we get the gray, right? What gray is this on this side of the eye? And then we could add our color. See, gray is an amazing thing because gray is like a chameleon. You start out whatever value with a neutral gray, and whatever you add to it, it becomes. So think about that. So, you know, when you're painting eyes and stuff like that, I mean, so I'm going to start out with this gray. It's very light, but not so light. And then I'm going to come in with white, or this one right here, which is actually, this is actually a very light caput mortem, which is that dark red that you see here. I'm going to add a whole lot of this. Mucho. Okay, so I'm going to take, this side is my purplish green. I'm going to use this side for my pinkish, purplish gray. This is going to be my pinkish gray. Okay, let's make this happen. Let's do this. right here we're seeing the underside of her eyelid. Very interesting. Maybe we can just super light pressure, and we'll just put a little life into the gray there. Just a little life into it. A little bit of life. Now, I have this beautiful, beautiful salmon color, right? I love salmon. Salmon is delicious. We cut a whole bunch of triangles, so let's use them. So right now I have this one, and I'm going to make a point. I did have fish and chips last night, so maybe that's why I'm talking about salmon. Okay, so I can always darken this. I'm a different artist at the easel than I am when I am, you know, at the art table when I'm doing airbrush. I'm just more fluid. I'm more free, and but that's not to say it's better, because in airbrush that's the best way to teach you. So I'm doing it that way. Plus there are advantages to it, so it's good that I do both. But if I'm doing it in airbrush, it's just going to be too fast, and I won't be able to be teaching as effective as I do from the overhead camera. Okay, so you see that super red? We can always come back in and put a little more life in that. Not that she needs more life, she's very vibrant. Go. All right. Too dark, right? Too dark. So let's see if we can come in with this Pit Pastel. Pit Pastel, which is, the number is 8675309. No, it's not 8675309. That was a song. This is 112-118. Let me see if anyone's old enough to actually get that joke. Come on, I know you're out there. I hear you breathing. All right. As Rodney Dangerfield would say, what is this, an audience or an oil painting? All right, so now I'm going to come in, I'm going to bring this fleshy color down here. So there's several ways to do it since I'm in pastel pencil mode. Yes, that's actually a mode. And I'm just going to refine. There we go. Now, see, we have this with the, there's some information happening here. Then we have this light on the other side. But this is not going to cut it. So, let's see if we can just bring this over. All right. Now, since we are here with, let's try a black pastel pencil. It's worth a shot, right? What do we got to lose? Nada. Because this is not a commission. This painting is just to make Tim happy. Let's see, any comments? Oh, Mike DeLoach, that's right, Jenny. That is so cool. You get some candy at the register, you know, on your way out at the end of the live stream. Just let them know you won the prize and you get some free candy, sir. And let's see. I love free candy, but no one wants to give me free candy anymore. I'm too old. It was like, who's that big kid trick-or-treating, you know? So let's see. We have... Oh, Mike says he saw a short video recently where a person was pointing out the societal shift away from vibrant colors to more muted tones and darker studies, darker shades. Interesting observation that seems true. Oh, wow, that is really cool. Thanks for sharing that, Mr. Mike. And Steve says, sorry about that, he's back. Thanks, Tim. And yes, he loves the sealer. It is a great equalizer. Yeah, I found it extremely helpful what you said. It's like sometimes, when people are at a certain level like yourself, Steve, you could say like a whole class in like 4 sentences. And that literally, that little bit of you explaining the Autoborn sealer and the Scotch Brite, I mean, it was just incredible. And then the UVS LS clear. I mean, it was really, really great. It's definitely check out his. You guys, if you don't check it out, it's to your own detriment because there's so much information on that last live stream. So Mike says now that Blank's song is rattling in his head, he must go pull up an 80s playlist. Tommy Two Tone, yes, that's so cool. So neat. Steve says he loves a close-up. If there any confusion why pastel piece, it's called a painting. This shot shows it. Wonderful. Oh, wow. Why a pastel? Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I love the DSLR. I know you're doing the DSLR with the M50 Mark II. And the DSLR just opens up a lot of things, as you know, because the ability of adding other lenses and the autofocus capability, which I think is great. Personally, though, I don't autofocus. Because I don't show different things like you do in your live streams, Steve, which is perfect for you. A lot of times you'll show different paintings and then the focus will change. How I do it is I basically just set the focus and leave it and then hit manual focus. But I think you're doing a great job with I mean, there's usually a learning curve with the DSLRs, but I don't think you need it, Steve. You pretty much got it right on the money immediately. But I know you've had cameras in the past, a Canon guy like myself. So that basically helps the learning curve dramatically. So kudos to you, sir. And let's see. Thanks. Yeah, I love this tight shot. Thank you, sir. So remember, guys, when you are going to put in a light, like right here, I'm just gonna do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to try and hit this light. It might be light enough. It might not. But there's only one way to find out. So right there is just a crude application of that light. But remember, a lighter color doesn't do anything unless there's a corresponding dark sitting right next to it. So let's make that happen. See how it needs that corresponding dark for it to live. Just like there needs to be a rivalry. For a rivalry to happen, there has to be two good teams. So for this light to stick out, there has to be a corresponding dark. There's no way around it. And then, now that we do that, so whenever you do a shape, you want to make like a shape sandwich, right? So you don't want to just paint that shape and that's it. That's not good enough. You have to paint the two slices of bread, right? Because otherwise it's just going to sit there and it won't relate to what's around it. I know it probably doesn't make sense, but it makes sense to me. And that's what's important. There we go. And so you see how that little fold, is that little fold important? Yes, of course. And now we'll come in with the light fleshy color here. Well, actually, that's not a light fleshy color. It's kind of a yellow ochre kind of thing happening here. But it's the sandwich, right? You got to do this slice of bread that's right next to it, as well as a slice of bread on the other side. There's no way around it. There. Now that that's done, let's go ahead and reiterate the white. But I have this kind of bluish color, and I like it. Stay away from white as much as possible. This is 270. And remember, if you lightly apply this light gray, it's going to act as a transparent, and it'll show off what's underneath. Right over here, we have a little bit of a thicker kind of edge here. Now you can do it with pastel pencil, there's no taboo for that, but you know, you want to use whatever is best, right? So let me see if I can find that particular one here, and then we'll just bring this down, down, down. See, this has to be thicker as it comes down like this. There we go. And then what's interesting is then right here we have that same kind of gray, you know, the gray that's there. I see that same gray at the edge of the eyelid. You know, always look, because you want a painting that is going to be unified. So when you're working in color, you have something new to deal with. You have to have the painting unified. Otherwise it's going to look like, you know, the flag of Maryland, which is quite crazy, right? I mean, it's all those different colors and it just has no semblance of order. Same thing, you want to look for repetitive colors. It's really important. See that? So with the repetitive colors, your painting is going to have a sense of unity, a sense of harmony, a sense of being one organism. So we have more questions here. Let's see. Zavi says, if I need higher megapixel, I use my 4x5 film camera. How cool is that? And let's see. Has anyone had Frisket ruin your sketch? Like liquid Frisket? Oh, Steve says he had an issue with that. That's why I stay away from liquid Frisket. I think it's, for me, it's like, it's horrible. So I stay away from it. Oh, Zavi, you have the D810. That's an amazing camera. That is still relevant today. I mean, that is a real kick-butt camera. So I definitely think that's important. So kudos on that. I love that camera. That's a full-frame camera, if I'm not mistaken. Mark Webb, how you doing? Recently picked up Frisket from the Hobby Lobby. Stay away from... Honestly, stay away from liquid Frisket if you're working on paper. I mean, the advantages... Oh, not liquid. Okay, so another kind. Oh, Frisket. Yeah, Frisket is... It's like you don't know what you're going to get. Because sometimes it could deposit... but I do have a fix. One time I was working on it, and everything was fine. This was like a one-off, but it left all kinds of glue on the surface. How I was to fix it is I used a piece of kneaded eraser and it actually pulled it off, and then you got to throw that kneaded eraser out, but that really worked. So definitely Frisket film, you shouldn't have too much issues if you're working on a gesso piece, like on a piece of wood. I don't see too many issues on that. A lot of people say, and I've done it, where you just, put it on the wall a couple times and get rid of the tackiness. Put it on your arm. That's another thing you can do. Yeah, I mean it's rare that it's gonna hurt your paintings, but there are those opportunities, as Steve said. Oh, okay, yes. So if it's an older camera, like Steve said, an older Canon, if it's like a D40 or a D60, they're great cameras, but they just don't work well with the live stream. And so what you have now is the what is it? The what is it? The 50 M50 Mark II. That's a really good camera. It's actually made for live streams. A lot of really good things going on with that. Yeah, so just to mention a few things, that's definitely, you tread lightly. That's what I really say if you're using Frisket film. But, with what I do and what Steve does, we don't really need Frisket. I mean, I know I don't, and I know Steve, I never see him use Frisket too often. There's other ways to make it happen. And if you see Steve's live streams on Monday nights, and you can see how he pretty much circumvents the whole Frisket film thing. So definitely check that out, because yeah, you don't need to use Frisket. There are much better ways to handle it. I love my orange. I love painting. Orange is beautiful when you are painting the figure, because one of the things that orange does, it kind of gives you that translucency of skin. Now, I'm not saying to just paint it willy-nilly where you see orange, but look for those beautiful opportunities to hit that orange. Here, right here, it really lightens up significantly. So I'm going to just kind of glaze over this. We don't want to make her look older, because she would kick my butt. And I don't need that kind of heat in my life. One of the benefits, not many benefits in being single, but one of the benefits of being single, I don't have anyone angry at me as much. It's like, what did I do? I don't know what I did, but I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry for being insensitive. And they're like, yeah, when was that? And I was like, before. Before what? Before now. This way I was safe. Because you don't want to go ahead and put yourself out there and sorry I was rude at the clothing store, but you didn't realize that that wasn't she was mad at, and now there's two things she's mad at. So you got to be careful. And you know what? She's probably right. She was probably right. See how I kind of worked on her eyes and really make that happen? Oh, yes. It's so true, Steve. Best offense is not to be there, right? The best defense is not to be there. And yeah, if you have a commission and that happens, that will just ruin your week. I know and then you have to be Houdini trying to fix it, right? And it's cool, we usually do fix it and get out of it, but who needs to want to be Houdini during the week? Okay, so I'm happy with the development of her eye. Now, I do see what's interesting, the catch light. That's called a catch light. That's in photography speech. So catch light is the light in the eye that reflects the light source. And in this case, it is a light box. And I can see I put the catch light too far over. Get rid of that catch light because it was incorrect. Honestly, everybody, get into photography as much as possible. Not only will it help your art, it will revolutionize it. You will take it from here to there, and then it will keep growing. I just can't find any models. Okay, so you see I darkened that eye. So now it's time for the catch light. Let's try this. I'm going to try and hit this with, this is a Cretacolor white. It's not a really soft white, but what I'm going to do, it was over to the right, and so let's see, I'm just going to hit this like that. And now I can come in with this, and I can shape it a little bit more. Okay, maybe it's a little bit higher. There we go. And then we have this black, and we'll use that to just lightly indicate some of her eyelashes. Okay, so pretty good, but I want to get a little bit of the softness there. Got a little bit of dark on that ledge. So I'm going to take a foam core that's clean, unused foam core. I'm going to peel it. And sometimes your foam core comes out a little gnarly, and that's where you have to clean it up. And how you clean it up? By just cutting some nice angles, right? Cut that. And we cut nice clean angles. So now I can take this, and I can use this as a kind of stump. So that's a nice soft kind of eye there. There's a little bit of yellow, and it's not really, it's like mustard, but not like yellow mustard, but golden spicy brown mustard. There we go. All right, now on to the next eye. But let's take a look and see how the eye looks in large. Let's see. Go back here. That's really up close. Look at that texture. Bam. So you see, it doesn't look like much has been done, but I'm very happy with it. Oh, Raul is here. How are you? Good to see you. So Raul says, tape and frisket. I use washi tape for its transparency, or Tamiya very clean lines. eBay does sell a blue version. That's interesting. Oh, cool. So Oakland is. I was reading a documentary, reading some documentation, an article on it, and it was quite frightening. What's going on? I can imagine how that could be scary, right? Well, you know what? It's just, Brad, it's hard. There's too many crazies out there, and you know, the last thing they want to do is to put themselves in a position, even though, you know, I'm safe. They don't know that, you know. Savi says, Tim, you're cracking me up. You should start a comedy live stream. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And let's see. Mike Deloach says, instructions to model sit down. Uh-oh. Look pretty, go. This is so much easier than yes, Steve. So that's cool. Washi tape is delicate and nice for his application. He had to have the tape. Was old Frisket. Yeah, once, you know, the whole thing with magnets really makes life a lot easier. Like I said, check out Steve's live streams. He is the master of magnets. Doesn't work with pastels, but magnets work really incredible when it goes to airbrush. I mean, it's a game changer. And you can see, you know, the different magnets that Mr. Steve uses. It's quite amazing. So now what we're going to do is we are... Oh, Steve Lang says, Tim, I've got 3 daughters and 7 grandkids. How many do you want me to send? That would be great. I would love it. You got a beautiful family, Mr. Steve. Definitely. Yeah, Steve Lang does some amazing airbrushing. Love his work as well. Really great. So now what I have to do is I have to zoom in on eye number 2. Let's see. Alright, so we hit this magic button and you can see now I just moved this over. And now we're going to look at eyeball number 2. You know, when you get to these stages, you don't really see the changes as much. They're subtle. But those are the things that separate, you know, one layer of skill level to another, are these little subtle changes that maybe only a fraction of the population's going to notice. But, you know, that's just kind of part of honing your craft, you know. Let me see if I can darken this just a tad this way. Okay, I kind of like that. That's pretty cool. Maybe, yeah, that's good. So you see how this eye is kind of a little more rough than the other eye? Because remember, what we do in one eye, we got to do in the other eye. That's one of the Timisms. And let's see. Okay, so last time when we started, so here's a good thing. So you might ask yourself, where do I start with the eye? Remember how you started with the other eye, and that kind of solves that problem. It gives you that kind of workflow. So you already did the other eye, and just continue the same way. So I'm going to start with the dark, the Caput Mortem, which is kind of like red iron oxide and black. And that would give us this really rich earth tone. And we're going to get rid of that catch light because it was wrong from the beginning. And now I have the foam core, and I'm just going to come in here. Now I may need to get a little thicker with the pastel. So how do you get thicker with pastel? Well, you don't add more pastel, you get softer, right? So maybe I'll come in with a little softer dark here. So my black will be a little bit richer. I may go to Winsor & Newton. My Caput Mortem, I'll pretty much stick with the same color. Maybe I'll go with Holbein a little bit. And a little bit of this Rembrandt, right? We'll go with Rembrandt. Let's see how it goes. Hey, if the color doesn't work, you always adjust it. No problem. But you see, as I come in with a softer pastel, it gives me greater coverage. And that's what we're looking for, greater coverage. Pastel is a different animal. I mean, it's the same as any other. It's just, you know, the procedure is a little different. So in pastel, you were going not from light to dark like I do in Airbrush. You're going from hard to soft. So you can go in either direction. It doesn't matter in pastel. There's no blue shift or anything like that. But you have to be mindful that you have to go with your harder pastels early and then graduate until the end of the painting, where you're going to probably come in with your senneliers and your schminke. Senneliers are French pastels. Degas used them. That's how long they've been around. Now, the schminke, I believe they are from the Czech Republic. They're a relatively new pastel, but they are amazing. I think the name schminke is Czech, but I don't know if they're manufactured in Germany. They just may be. So you see how I'm reshaping this eyelid. And how you reshape it, remember, the adjacent shape often describes the form better than the form itself, and this is basically living proof right here. Okay, little bit of an adjustment here. So looking at this, there is just a little bit of her zygoma. Now the zygoma is an interesting area. I just heard about that from a plastic surgeon. So here you see you have the side plane. Well, you don't. Let me make this bigger, because this is interesting. I love sharing these anatomical little information. So you see here is the temporal right here, and the temporal ridge, and this is the temporal bone, and it's kind of indented. Well, when this is coming down, when all of a sudden the quote-unquote cheekbone or the zygomatic arch starts coming out, and it's different for everyone. Some people, it doesn't come out as, it's not as pronounced. Some people it's lower, but you see on her it's much higher. Where the shift is from this plane to the zygomatic bone, and that's called the zygoma. And that is what plastic surgeons call it. Now I'm saying it's what plastic surgeons call it because I've never seen it in any other anatomical book like Gray's Anatomy or any of my art books on anatomy. So this is interesting right here. So this is something that I just learned. I want to share that with you. So this is an important thing. You know, it's so important that people will actually have this raised or lowered to change the shape of their face. This zygoma, right? Very interesting. And you can definitely, so next time you see someone that's like really attractive, look and see what's going on with the zygoma. Is the moment that the cheekbone or zygomatic bone is actually kind of coming out, and how pronounced is it, right? It's very, I'm going to turn off my air conditioner because I think I just saw a penguin. So let me just, there we go. Okay, it's a little cold in here. Let's see. All right, so let's see, right here. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you. Just a little bit of fun information. Let's see. Let's go back to the eyeball, and we'll be working on that. And that's today's live stream, right? How to make beautiful eyes. How to paint beautiful eyes in pastel. And I'm going to go back to that eye. I was saying that because right here, right here I can see some of the zygoma there. It's real little. So I'm going to take a brownish color like this, or maybe lighter. See, this is an interesting color. This is by Pit Pastel, and this is 180. It looks light, but it translates darker when it is put in the painting. I'm gonna have to, it immediately got hot. You know, these in-between months are really rough for me. I don't know to break out the winter clothes or to keep the air conditioners in as long as possible. See how you can see a little bit of that zygoma right there? And that's why that's why I basically mentioned it. And it's so subtle, it's so little, it's so insignificant, but you know, if you let a bunch of insignificant things go by, you know, without attacking it, it's going to add up to a mediocre painting. So I know I'm going to miss something with every painting, so I'm diligent to make sure the things I do catch that I nail them, right? I have to, because I know I'm going to miss stuff. I mean, how many times do we look at some old paintings and say, what was I thinking? It was like, did I have a headache that day? What was going on with me? We always miss stuff. So you see, but this is what you want to do. You want to kind of have that sandwich, right? You want to have both pieces of bread so you can kind of put in the background there. These are just these little subtle things that are going, and don't worry about getting rid of the eyelashes. It's such a minor thing. You can do that at the 12th, at 11:59 with 59 seconds, you know? So don't worry about that at all. Oh, we're at 9:18, so we're gonna go for another 10 minutes. I'm just having so much fun with everybody. Time just goes by really fast. Just shape this, and it's a work in progress, right? So don't worry about not getting it perfect. So now we have to shape her eye again. So what you don't want to lose the drawing, definitely. Let me turn the fan on, because now I turned the air conditioner off. I'm feeling it. Here we go. Okay, so now let's go back to developing her eye. There we go. Painting is a little scary, you know. It's different than painting black and white. So you're not alone, because you're juggling more things, you know. So when you're juggling more things, you got to use more of our brains. That hurts. Like, what's that burning wire smell? Oh, he's thinking. So, I often smell burning wire when I'm painting. Okay. Now, let's come in with that dark again. Now I got that shape and I'm happy with it. And let's see here. Beautiful. However, we do see more of that beautiful golden yellow oxide just right here. I said red iron oxide, not yellow oxide. Now we can take this beautiful, beautiful gold, kind of like the changing of the leaves. Now right here, I love that gold, so I'm going to switch over to one of the foam core, right? Because foam core is really for your transparent application because you're scumbling. So I'm going to pull this. So right here in the lower eyelid, we have this real transparent application here. See how I can just very transparently put that in? And then since I'm here, you always want to look for echoing values and colors, because that's what's going to give your painting. That's another theme of today's live stream. That's going to give your painting a sense of unity, a sense of being one organism, and just makes for a more harmonious piece. Now this right here is quite pronounced right here. And right here is where the airbrush would really shine. Now, but we're not working in airbrush, so we have to kind of come in with our flesh color. And let's make this as hard edged as possible. See that? Now there's volume. Now there's contrast. Because it's a different form, right? So you have this zygomatic bone here. The lower eyelid is a whole different form. So you have to create separation because they're not together. And to show that this eyelid is coming forward, we're going to have to express that by putting in a hard edge. And let's come back in with that really cool pastel pencil here. Retroabicularis oculi fat right here. That's going to get more light, so I'm just going to express that. I'll just establish that catch light right there. And I know I need to get a little more strong with that, right? You know, it can't wimp out. And I'm going to get a brand new triangle for this. I'm going to cut a point, and I'm going to attempt to do it using the triangles. Not necessarily am I able to do it, but you always want to push it, you know, push it to the limit. See if you can get away with it. See if you can do it this way. If you can't, then you do it another way, but push it. Push your supplies. Just because it didn't work last time doesn't mean. Now this is Sennelier I'm using. This is super soft. And since I have the Sennelier here, you just apply some really soft whites here. So you can see when we get further along the painting, it looks like I didn't do much today, but I really did. I mean, there was a lot accomplished. Because until today, the eyes were pretty much very loosely put in. And today I was able to really attack. And I'm just going to express the nasal bones coming out of the nasal eminence here. There we go. So let's go ahead. Actually, let me see if I could just take a clean triangle. Kind of fix that a little bit. Okay, let's take a look. Let's see what we have. Okay, so her eyes are much more where I want them to be, right? And, oh, Willie, have a great night. Great to see you. And so let's take a look at her so far. Move her over. Where is she? Okay, got her right here. It's a 50 millimeter I have on this, so I have to move back for you to see the whole painting, but hopefully it's worth it. Let's see. So now I'll put her on autofocus. I'm using the Canon 50 millimeter 1.8 lens. And as you can see, now she's in focus, so I'll put her in manual focus. And let me lift this up here so you can see without this cast shadow. So this is where we are right now. So today was a really good lesson because we basically concentrated, as you get further along in your painting, you'll see that you are going to be working on certain areas a lot more. When we come back, I want us to work on the lips. So that's what next week's going to be. How do I get to that point where I'm refining those lips, right? What do I do? I mean, when I used to paint in pastel, I painted more like Vermeer, where I would just be very, that would be all I would do. But now, influenced in the airbrush world, I may get even more detailed than I would have years ago. So that's going to be interesting going into that. So I hope that would be something that you guys would like to see. But that's up to you. But thank you so much for hanging. Whoa, painting fell. Not good. But the thing is, she's still okay. She's okay. That's what happens that's the good thing of painting in my method. Because I rub the pastel into the surface, and you can see as you do that, the painting is not volatile. So that fell like on my palette and everything, and no ill effects. So that's really cool. All right, so on that note, I am going to wish everyone a great night. Thanks for hanging with me, everyone. You guys are all amazing. Check out Steve's live stream Monday night at 6 o'clock Eastern Time on Facebook. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you for hanging out with little old me. I really, really appreciate it. You all are so fantastic.